Dynamic ad insertion, big topic. Where did that start, and where is it, and where is it going from your experience and your involvement with clients?
So, I mean, I think there's definitely a desire to get to one-to-one targeting of a message to a consumer. And within the television space, that's obviously a challenge because of all the different affiliates and the different MSOs. But the technology exists to do that. The problem has always been the scale of how you get there. So you have a couple of players that are national, like a DirecTV or a Dish, and then you have MSOs that are doing it on a more regional basis. What's promising is on the VOD end, we've actually been able to get that dynamic ad insertion that's opened up a pool of inventory to do more one-to-one targeting. But we're still not there on a national basis. And we have new kind of entrants into the marketplace when the live streaming services are being built out for things like for Hulu, for the AT&T DirecTV Direct Now. Those services are setting up so that they can actually do dynamic ad insertion on the inventory that they control. So I think what we're going to have to see is the traditional kind of players in the space having to set up that dynamic ad insertion environment, because they're being challenged by people who are building that from the ground up versus just being able to continue to say it's not available across the marketplace.
So that takes more client resources, right? More creative iterations and that sort of thing. Does it vary by client? What is the process of convincing a client that the investment will be worth it?
Well, I think it definitely varies by client, and the ability to figure out how to kind of segment that audience, identify it, and then serve it in that way. But I do think that it's powerful on the seller end as well if they can tie that inventory to the right audience. Then they can make what they're selling more efficient in general. And it will depend on which clients that makes sense for. If you have a client that is interested in reaching everyone, then dynamic ad insertion may not be where they want to head right now. They may find other uses for it beyond kind of their top funnel kind of metrics, but it depends on kind of which client you're looking at.
So, from your perspective, what are you looking forward to hearing about or seeing in this upfront season? Will it be more of an evolutionary process from last year and the year before? Anything revolutionary that you see?
Just judging from past upfronts, I'm not sure how revolutionary it's going to be. I'm sure that there will be some talk about OpenAP and the networks and the parent companies that have signed on for that will bring that up as a way to show that they're allowing advertisers to really use their data to apply against their inventory pools. I still think we have a lot to learn about that, because they made the announcement, and I think we still have a lot to kind of dig under the hood with. I would suspect that there will be some talk about brand safety, and that they will use that as an opportunity to talk about their inventory and the control that they have over it, which I think is something that they'll have an advantage on, but at the same time they have a disadvantage because they're losing their audience, and it's going to other platforms, and people are finding content in other places that they don't necessarily control. So while they control their inventory sourcing, they're losing audience just in general to the marketplace. I think one of the things that was interesting is that these guys have always viewed themselves as competing against ABC, CBS, NBC. And when you go to these presentations, one is saying, all right, well, we're better than NBC, we're better than CBS. And they're talking about themselves very much in the context of their own kind of what they view as their own competitive set. But that's no longer the case anymore. So they can talk about you know, how they're doing against each other, but they're really competing against a much bigger marketplace.
Mm-hmm. So the safe environment, it's in the headlines now with some of the big digital players. Can you put that into perspective? Is it any worse than it was like 6 months ago? Is it the same issue, or is it just getting more headlines now?
I think it's the same issue, it's just getting more headlines. And actually, I think in some cases, you have people who are searching harder for the exceptions. But in a sense, it's a good thing for the industry. I think people are going to have to come out stronger and put more accountability against this. And certainly, you're seeing brands, and we're working with brands to make sure that the right guardrails are in place, because it's not going to go away. I think there's now more rigor going against that. So hopefully, that creates more accountability in general for everyone.
When you use the word guardrails, what would those consist of?
It could be different things. You know, obviously using your monitoring service, whether that's whitelisting and creating kind of the right kind of brand guidelines for content, making sure that's applied to all the different brands within a portfolio. So, you know, there's a tremendous amount of automation that can be done on that, but then there's also a tremendous amount of process that kind of still needs to be put into place to make sure that the right things are being done for each brand, and they're making sure they're doing what's right for their brand.